The unexpected visitor. The soft glow of Jake's desk lamp cast long shadows across his cramped dorm room as he hunched over his textbooks. The clock on his nightstand blinked 1:37 a.m., but sleep was the furthest thing from his mind. His astronomy midterm was in less than 8 hours, and he still had 3 chapters to review. Jake rubbed his tired eyes and took another swig of lukewarm coffee. As he flipped to the next page on stellar evolution, a flash of blue light caught his attention. He glanced up, expecting to see headlights from the parking lot outside his window. Instead, his jaw dropped as he witnessed a blazing streak of azure flame tear across the night sky. "Holy shit," Jake muttered, pressing his face against the cool glass. The object, far too large and bright to be a meteor, arced downward before disappearing behind the tree line of the nearby woods. A moment later, a dull thud reverberated through the ground. Jake's heart raced as he debated what to do. His first instinct was to call campus security or maybe even 911, but curiosity got the better of him. He'd been fascinated by the possibility of extraterrestrial life since he was a kid. If there was even a small chance that he'd just witnessed a UFO crash, well, he had to check it out. Grabbing a flashlight and his phone, Jake quietly made his way out of the dorm and into the cool autumn night. The woods were only a 5-minute walk from campus, but in the darkness, every shadow seemed to conceal potential dangers. Jake's imagination ran wild with visions of government agents in dark suits or nightmarish alien monstrosities lurking behind every tree. As he neared the spot where he thought the object had come down, Jake noticed a faint blue glow emanating from a small clearing ahead. His pulse quickened as he crept forward, pushing aside branches to reveal a sight that took his breath away. A sleek, silvery craft about the size of a small car lay half buried in the soft earth. Its hull was unmarred despite the impact, and it pulsed with an ethereal blue light. But what truly shocked Jake was the figure that emerged from a hatch on its side. She, for the being was unmistakably feminine in form, stood nearly 7 feet tall. Her skin was a pale lavender, crisscrossed with intricate patterns that glowed with the same blue light as her ship. Large, almond-shaped eyes dominated a face that was at once alien and hauntingly beautiful. Jake stood frozen, unable to process what he was seeing. This was it, actual, honest-to-God proof of alien life. His mind reeled with the implications. But before he could decide whether to run or try to make contact, the alien's eyes locked onto his. In that moment, Jake saw something unexpected: fear. The alien stumbled, clutching her side. A darker purple liquid, blood, seeped between her long fingers. She took a halting step toward Jake, her mouth moving as if trying to speak. Then her eyes rolled back, and she collapsed to the ground. Without thinking, Jake rushed to her side. Up close, he could see that her wound was severe, some kind of energy weapon burn, if he had to guess based on his limited sci-fi knowledge. The alien's breathing was shallow and ragged. "Hey, can you understand me?" Jake asked, his voice shaking. "I want to help. What do you need?" The alien's eyes fluttered open, focusing on Jake with obvious effort. When she spoke, her voice was melodic but filled with pain. To Jake's amazement, he could understand her words, though her mouth didn't seem to move in sync with them. "Danger, coming," she gasped. "Must. Hide." Jake's mind raced. He couldn't leave her here, but he had no idea how to treat an alien injury. And if she was right about danger coming, they needed to move fast. He made a split-second decision that would change his life forever. "Okay, I'm going to get you somewhere safe," he said, hoping his tone conveyed reassurance. "Can you walk if I help you?" The alien nodded weakly. Jake carefully helped her to her feet, supporting much of her weight. He was surprised by how light she felt despite her height. As they stumbled away from the crash site, Jake heard a high-pitched whine in the distance. Another ship approaching. "Shit," he muttered. "We've got to move faster." They made their way through the woods as quickly as possible, the alien leaning heavily on Jake. He led them back toward campus, his mind churning with possible hiding spots. The dorm was out of the question. Too many people, too many questions. Then he remembered the old groundskeeper's shed near the athletic fields. It was rarely used these days and should be secluded enough for now. As they neared the edge of the woods, Jake heard voices and saw flashlight beams sweeping the area behind them. He quickened their pace, practically dragging the alien the last 100 yards to the shed. To his immense relief, the padlock was rusted and gave way with a sharp tug. Jake ushered the alien inside and pulled the door shut behind them. The interior was musty and cluttered with old equipment, but it would have to do. He helped the alien sit on an overturned bucket, then fumbled for the battery-powered lantern he knew was kept here for emergencies. In the soft glow of the lantern, Jake got his first good look at his unexpected guest. Despite her obvious pain, there was an aura of grace and intelligence about her. The glowing patterns on her skin pulsed softly, reminding Jake of bioluminescent sea creatures he'd seen in nature documentaries. "Okay," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "We should be safe here for now. Can you tell me what happened? Who's after you?" The alien took a shuddering breath before responding. "My name is Zara. I am a scientist from a world you would call Kepler-62. I came to study your planet, but I was attacked by a rival species, the Vraxen. They seek to prevent our two races from making contact." Jake's head spun with questions, but he forced himself to focus on the immediate problem. "You're hurt. Is there anything I can do to help? Some kind of first aid, or—" Zara shook her head. "My body will heal given time. But we cannot stay here long. The Vraxen are relentless hunters. They will not stop until they find me, or my ship." "Your ship," Jake said, realization dawning. "Won't they be able to track it?" "Yes," Zara confirmed, "but I activated its security protocols before fleeing. It will self-destruct if anyone attempts to breach it. That should slow them down, but not for long." Jake ran a hand through his hair, trying to process everything. Here he was, hiding in a shed with an injured alien while hostile extraterrestrials hunted them. It was like something out of a movie, except the danger felt all too real. "Okay, let's think this through," he said, as much to himself as to Zara. "We need to get you somewhere safer and find a way to contact your people. Do you have any kind of communication device?" Zara reached into a hidden pocket in her form-fitting suit and pulled out what looked like a small crystal. "This is a quantum entanglement communicator. It can send a message instantaneously across vast distances. But it was damaged in the crash. I need access to certain rare elements to repair it." Jake's mind raced. "I might know someone who can help. My friend Mia is a whiz with electronics and has access to the university's advanced materials lab. But first, we need to do something about that wound." He rummaged through the shed, eventually finding a reasonably clean first aid kit. As he cleaned and bandaged Zara's injury as best he could, Jake couldn't help but marvel at the situation. Here he was, a 20-year-old college student, treating an alien's wound while planning how to outwit hostile extraterrestrials. It was terrifying, but also oddly exhilarating. "Why did you help me?" Zara asked suddenly, her large eyes studying Jake intently. Jake paused, considering the question. "I guess, because it was the right thing to do. You needed help, and I couldn't just leave you there. Besides, this is the kind of thing I've dreamed about since I was a kid. Making first contact, proving we're not alone in the universe." Zara's expression softened. "Your compassion does credit to your species. I only hope it does not bring you harm. The Vraxen are dangerous, and they will not hesitate to hurt anyone who stands in their way." As if to emphasize her point, a low rumble shook the ground. In the distance, Jake saw a flash of light and heard the muffled sound of an explosion. Zara's ship self-destructing, he realized. "We need to move," Jake said urgently. "Can you walk?" Zara nodded, rising unsteadily to her feet. "The healing process has begun, but I am still weak. Where will we go?" Jake took a deep breath, making a decision that would irrevocably change the course of his life. My friend Mia has an off-campus apartment. It's not far, and she keeps weird hours anyway. With any luck, she'll be awake. As they slipped out of the shed and into the night, Jake's mind whirled with the enormity of what was happening. He was about to involve his best friend in an interstellar conflict, but he knew he couldn't handle this alone, and Mia was the smartest person he knew. If anyone could help repair Zara's communicator and figure out a way to outsmart the Vraxen, it was her. Jake just hoped he wasn't making a terrible mistake that would get them all killed, or worse. As they made their way across campus, sticking to shadows and less traveled paths, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Every rustle of leaves or distant sound made him jump. Zara moved with surprising grace despite her injury, her eyes constantly scanning their surroundings. "How close are these Vraxen?" Jake whispered as they ducked behind a hedge to avoid a passing campus security golf cart. "Too close," Zara replied grimly. "They have technology that can track my biosignature. The destruction of my ship will have slowed them down, but they will not give up easily." Jake's stomach churned with a mixture of fear and excitement. Part of him still couldn't believe this was really happening. Here he was, in the middle of the night, sneaking across campus with an honest-to-God alien while being hunted by hostile extraterrestrials. It was like every sci-fi movie he'd ever watched had come to life. They reached the edge of campus without incident, but Jake knew the real challenge lay ahead. Mia's apartment was still a few blocks away, and they'd have to cross some more open areas to get there. As they paused in the shadow of a large oak tree, Jake pulled out his phone. "I should give Mia a heads up," he said. "Otherwise, she might freak out when we show up with, well, you." Zara nodded. "A wise precaution, but be careful what you say. If the Vraxen have accessed your communication networks, there may be monitoring transmissions." Jake's eyes widened at the implications, but he nodded and dialed Mia's number. After a few rings, a groggy voice answered. "Jake, do you have any idea what time it is?" "Mia, listen," Jake said urgently. "I need your help. I'm coming over, and I'm bringing a friend. It's complicated, and I can't explain over the phone. Just be ready for anything, okay?" There was a pause, then Mia's voice came back, suddenly alert. "Jake, what's going on? Are you in trouble?" "Yes, no, maybe," Jake stammered. "Look, I promise I'll explain everything when we get there. Just trust me, okay?" Another pause. "All right," Mia said finally, "but this better be good." Jake ended the call and turned to Zara. "Okay, we're all set. It's not far now, just a few more blocks." They set off again, moving as quickly as Zara's condition would allow. As they crossed a small park, Jake's nerves were on high alert. The open space made him feel exposed, vulnerable. Suddenly, Zara tensed beside him. "Get down," she hissed, pulling Jake behind a nearby statue. No sooner had they taken cover than a beam of sickly green energy sizzled through the air where they had been standing. Jake's heart pounded as he peered around the edge of the statue. What he saw made his blood run cold. 3 figures stood at the far end of the park, their forms obscured by some kind of shimmering energy field. But even through the distortion, Jake could tell they weren't human. They were tall and bulky, with multiple limbs that ended in what looked like weapons. "Vraxen shock troops," Zara whispered, her voice tight with fear. "We must run, now." They bolted from behind the statue as another energy blast scorched the ground beside them. Jake's lungs burned as they sprinted across the park, zigzagging to avoid the barrage of energy weapons fire. He could hear heavy footsteps behind them, gaining ground with every second. Just as Jake thought they were done for, a familiar voice rang out. "Over here, quickly." Mia stood in the doorway of her apartment building, waving frantically. Jake and Zara put on a final burst of speed, practically diving through the entrance. Mia slammed the door shut behind them and engaged multiple locks. "What the hell is going on?" Mia demanded, her eyes wide as she took in Zara's alien appearance. "And who, or what, is that? Before Jake could answer, the building shook with an impact. The Vraxen were trying to break in. No time to explain, Jake gasped, still trying to catch his breath. We need to get to your apartment. Now. As they raced up the stairs, Jake's mind reeled. How were they going to get out of this? And even if they escaped the immediate danger, what then? He had just drawn his best friend into an interstellar conflict with potentially world-ending consequences. One thing was certain, his life would never be the same again. And as the sounds of destruction echoed from below, Jake realized that the fate of two worlds might now rest in their hands. Ingenuity under fire. As Jake, Mia, and Zara burst into the apartment, the building shook with another thunderous impact. The Vraxen were getting closer. Mia slammed the door shut, engaging every lock before dragging a heavy bookcase in front of it. Okay, someone better start explaining right now, Mia demanded, her dark eyes flashing between Jake and the alien. Who's the cosplayer, and why are we under attack by whatever those things are? Jake took a deep breath, trying to organize his thoughts. Mia, this is Zara. She's not in costume. She's a real alien. And those things chasing us, also aliens, bad ones. Mia's eyebrows shot up. You're joking, right? This has to be some kind of elaborate prank. I assure you, this is no deception, Zara interjected, her melodic voice tinged with urgency. I am a scientist from a world you call Kepler-62. The beings pursuing us are Vraxen, a hostile species intent on preventing contact between our civilizations. Mia opened her mouth to argue further, but another blast rocked the building. Plaster dust rained down from the ceiling. Look, I know this is crazy, Jake said, grabbing Mia's shoulders. But right now, we need your help. Zara has a quantum communication device that can call for backup, but it's damaged. You're the only person I know smart enough to maybe fix it. Mia's expression shifted from disbelief to determination. All right, let's say I believe you. What do you need? Zara produced the crystal-like device. The quantum entanglement matrix is intact, but the power source was damaged in my crash. We need to create a stable energy conduit using materials from your world. Mia examined the alien tech, her eyes lighting up with scientific curiosity. Fascinating. I might be able to jury-rig something using components from my lab equipment, but I'll need time. Time is something we don't have, Jake said grimly, peering out the window. 3 Vraxen shock troops were advancing on the building, their energy weapons glowing ominously. Perhaps we can buy ourselves some, Zara suggested. My species possesses limited telepathic abilities. If I can link with your minds, we might be able to pool our knowledge and work faster. Jake and Mia exchanged uncertain glances. Is it safe? Mia asked. There is always risk in melding minds, Zara admitted. But right now, it may be our only chance. Another blast shook the room. The decision was made for them. Do it, Jake and Mia said in unison. Zara placed a hand on each of their foreheads. Jake felt a strange tingling sensation, then a rush of alien knowledge flooded his consciousness. Complex equations, fragments of Zara's memories, and glimpses of her homeworld flashed through his mind. When Zara broke the connection, Jake staggered, his head spinning. But as the dizziness faded, he realized he understood far more about Zara's technology than he ever thought possible. Holy shit, Mia breathed, her eyes wide. That was incredible. I think I know how to fix the communicator now. And I think I know how to slow down the Vraxen, Jake added, an idea forming. As Mia set to work on the alien device, Jake raided her kitchen and chemistry supplies. Working with newfound knowledge and desperate inspiration, he cobbled together several makeshift smoke bombs and a crude EMP device. This might disrupt their energy weapons, he explained, holding up the EMP. And these should provide cover for us to escape if we need to. A thunderous crash from downstairs told them the Vraxen had breached the building. We're out of time, Zara said urgently. Mia, is the communicator functional? Mia made a final adjustment. I think so, but I can't guarantee. Her words were cut off as the apartment door exploded inward, the bookcase reduced to splinters. 3 hulking Vraxan warriors stormed in, their multiple arms brandishing an array of terrifying weapons. Surrender the Keplerian. The lead Vraxan snarled, its voice a guttural roar. Jake met Mia's eyes, a silent agreement passing between them. In one fluid motion, he hurled the EMP device at the Vraxan while Mia activated the communicator. The EMP detonated in a flash of blue light. The Vraxan's weapons sputtered and died, but the aliens themselves seemed unaffected. They charged forward with surprising speed for their bulky frames. Run! Jake yelled, tossing smoke bombs to cover their escape. As acrid smoke filled the apartment, the 3 fugitives dashed for the fire escape. They clambered down the metal stairs, the enraged roars of the Vraxan echoing above them. Did the communicator work? Jake gasped as they reached the ground. Zara's expression was grim. The signal was sent, but I cannot be certain it was received. My people will come if they can, but we must find a way to survive until then. They sprinted down the alley behind Mia's building, the heavy footsteps of the Vraxan not far behind. Jake's mind raced, trying to formulate a plan. The physics building, Mia panted as they ran. There's equipment there we might be able to use, maybe even build some kind of defense against the Vraxan weapons. It was their best option. They changed course, heading for the university campus. But as they emerged onto a main street, they were met with a terrifying sight. A sleek, predatory-looking ship hovered above the city, its hull gleaming wickedly in the pre-dawn light. Smaller craft were descending, depositing more Vraxan troops throughout the area. They're going to tear the whole city apart looking for us, Jake realized, his heart sinking. Zara's expression hardened. Then we must find a way to stop them, not just for our sake, but for your entire world. As they ducked into another alley, narrowly avoiding a Vraxan patrol, Jake knew they were in a race against time. They had to reach the physics building, find a way to fight back against the alien invaders, and somehow hold out long enough for Zara's people to arrive. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, and 3 unlikely heroes, a college student, his tech-savvy friend, and an alien scientist, were all that stood between humanity and annihilation. Jake's mind whirled with the knowledge imparted by Zara's telepathic link. Fragments of alien science mingled with his own understanding of physics, creating sparks of inspiration. As they sprinted across campus, dodging Vraxan patrols and the panicked crowds of students evacuating buildings, a plan began to form. Mia, he gasped between breaths, does the physics department still have that experimental plasma containment device? Mia's eyes widened with realization. The toroidal field generator. Yeah, it's in the basement lab, but it's not stable. That's why they abandoned the project. Exactly, Jake grinned. But with Zara's knowledge, I think we can modify it into a weapon against the Vraxan. They reached the physics building, slipping inside just as another group of alien shock troops rounded the corner. The halls were eerily empty, emergency lights casting long shadows. This way, Maya led them towards a stairwell, the labs in the sub-basement. As they descended, Zara suddenly stumbled, clutching her side. The wound from her crash landing had reopened, purple blood seeping through her bandages. I will slow you down, she gasped. You should leave me. Jake shook his head firmly. Not a chance. We're in this together now. He slung Zara's arm over his shoulder, supporting her weight as they continued downward. Mia gave him a questioning look, but Jake's expression brooked no argument. They reached the lab, a cavernous space filled with hulking machinery and delicate instruments. In the center stood their target, a ring-shaped device easily 20 feet in diameter, studded with electrodes and surrounded by banks of computers. Okay, what's the plan? Mia asked, already booting up the main control terminal. Jake helped Zara to a chair before joining Mia at the controls. We need to overload the containment field, but in a controlled way. If we can create a cascading plasma reaction and direct it, we could generate an electromagnetic pulse powerful enough to disable Vraxen tech. Mia finished, her fingers flying over the keyboard. Zara limped over, studying the device with keen interest. Fascinating. With some modifications, we might even be able to attune the pulse to specifically target Vraxen energy signatures. For the next frantic minutes, the trio worked in perfect synergy. Jake and Mia's understanding of Earth physics melded with Zara's advanced knowledge, creating something entirely new. They rerouted power conduits, reprogrammed containment algorithms, and jerry-rigged a targeting system using parts cannibalized from other lab equipment. Just as they were making final adjustments, a bone-rattling explosion shook the building. Dust and debris rained down from the ceiling. "They found us," Zara said grimly. Jake's hands shook as he input the final command sequence. "It's not ready. We need at least 5 more minutes to build up a full charge." Mia grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall, hefting it like a club. "Then we'll buy you that time." "Zara, can you still fight?" The alien scientist nodded, her luminescent patterns pulsing with determination. She picked up a long metal pipe, testing its weight. "I will stand with you, friends," she declared. Jake wanted to argue, to insist they both stay safe while he held off the Vraxen, but he knew he was the only one who could finish calibrating the device. With a reluctant nod, he turned back to the controls. Mia and Zara took up positions near the lab entrance, makeshift weapons at the ready. Moments later, the door exploded inward in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. Vraxen shock troops poured through the opening, energy weapons blazing. What followed was a desperate, chaotic battle. Mia and Zara fought with everything they had, using their knowledge of the lab's layout to their advantage. They toppled shelves to create barriers, used fire extinguishers to blind the aliens, and even managed to short out a few Vraxen weapons by luring them into contact with live electrical cables. Jake worked feverishly at the controls, acutely aware of every second ticking by. The sounds of combat filled the lab, the crackle of energy weapons, the clash of improvised melee weapons, and the inhuman roars of the Vraxen. "Jake," Mia's voice cut through the chaos. "We can't hold them much longer." He risked a glance over his shoulder. Mia and Zara were bloodied but still fighting, driven back to a last defensive position near the device. A dozen Vraxen corpses littered the floor, but more kept coming. "Almost there," Jake shouted, making a final adjustment. The toroidal generator hummed to life, arcs of plasma dancing along its surface. Suddenly, a massive figure loomed over Jake. The Vraxen commander had slipped past Mia and Zara's defense. Its energy blade crackled inches from Jake's face. "Your primitive weapons cannot stop us," the alien growled. "Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick." Jake's hand hovered over the activation switch. Time seemed to slow as he looked into the Vraxen's cold, alien eyes. In that moment, he saw not just the threat to himself and his friends, but to all of humanity. If they failed here, Earth would fall. With a defiant yell, Jake slammed his hand down on the switch. The world exploded into blinding light and deafening sound. The toroidal generator released its pent-up energy in a colossal electromagnetic pulse. The Vraxen commander's energy blade sputtered and died, along with every other piece of alien tech in the room. The pulse expanded outward, racing through the building and beyond. All across the city, Vraxen weapons and vehicles suddenly went dead. Their mothership, hovering menacingly above, faltered and began to plummet from the sky. As the light faded and the ringing in his ears subsided, Jake looked around in awe. The lab was in ruins, sparks flying from fried equipment. The Vraxen lay motionless on the floor, their cybernetic implants overloaded by the pulse. Mia and Zara emerged from behind a fallen console, battered but alive. They stared at Jake in disbelief. "Did we just?" Mia began. "Save the world," Jake finished, a grin spreading across his face despite his exhaustion. Before they could celebrate further, a new sound filled the air, a high-pitched whine unlike anything they'd heard before. Through the shattered lab windows, they saw sleek ships descending from the sky. But these were different from the Vraxen craft, more elegant, almost organic in design. Zora's eyes lit up with joy. My people, they received the signal. As the Keplerian ships landed and disgorged teams of peacekeepers to round up the surviving Vraxen, Jake felt a profound sense of wonder wash over him. In the span of one incredible night, he had encountered alien life, fought off an invasion, and helped forge first contact between Earth and a benevolent cosmic civilization. He looked at Mia and Zara, seeing his own mix of exhaustion and exhilaration mirrored in their faces. Whatever came next, debriefings, diplomatic negotiations, the staggering implications for human society, they would face it together. As the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, Jake knew that this was not an ending, but a beginning. Humanity's great adventure among the stars was just getting started. Cosmic diplomacy. The days following the Vraxen attack were a whirlwind of activity. Jake, Mia, and Zara found themselves at the center of a global sensation. News of the alien encounter and Earth's narrow escape from invasion spread like wildfire, dominating headlines and social media feeds worldwide. As Keplerian peacekeepers secured the fallen Vraxen technology and began cleanup operations, world leaders scrambled to respond to this new reality. The United Nations convened an emergency session, and a hastily formed international task force was assembled to handle first contact protocols. Jake and Mia, along with key scientists and military personnel, were sequestered in a high-security facility for debriefing. Despite the chaos, Jake couldn't help but feel a thrill of excitement. They were making history, and he was right in the middle of it. "I still can't believe this is really happening," Mia said, shaking her head as they sat in a plush conference room, waiting for their next briefing. "A week ago, my biggest worry was midterms. Now we're discussing interstellar politics." Jake nodded, understanding exactly how she felt. "I know. It's like we've stepped into a sci-fi movie. But a good one, you know. Not the kind where the aliens just want to blow everything up." Their conversation was interrupted as Zara entered the room, accompanied by a delegation of Keplerian officials. Jake's breath caught in his throat as he saw her. Gone was the battered fugitive they'd first encountered. Zara now wore elegant robes that shimmered with patterns of light, and a circlet adorned her brow. She looked every inch the alien diplomat. "My friends," Zara said warmly, her melodic voice filled with affection. "I hope you are being treated well. There is much to discuss." Over the next few hours, Jake and Mia received a crash course in galactic politics. The Keplerians, it turned out, were part of a loose confederation of spacefaring species known as the Cosmic Concord. For millennia, they had watched Earth from afar, waiting for humanity to reach a level of technological and social development that would allow for peaceful contact. The Vraxen, Zara explained, were a warmongering species that sought to keep lesser civilizations isolated and exploitable. Their attack on Earth had forced the Keplerians to accelerate their plans for first contact. "Your actions in repelling the Vraxen have proven humanity's worth 100 times over," one of the Keplerian officials said, his tone filled with admiration. "The Cosmic Concord would be honored to extend an invitation for Earth to join our alliance." Jake's mind reeled at the implications, humanity taking its place among the stars. It seemed too incredible to be true. But as he looked at Mia and Zara, he knew that anything was possible. The next week was a blow of diplomatic meetings, scientific exchanges, and media appearances. Jake and Mia found themselves thrust into the role of ambassadors, bridging the gap between human and alien cultures. Their unique perspective, having fought alongside Zara and experienced both the threat of the Vraxen and the wonders of Keplerian technology, made them invaluable to the negotiation process. One evening, as they took a rare moment of quiet on the facility's roof, gazing up at the stars, Mia turned to Jake with a thoughtful expression. "You know, when I was a kid, I'd always dreamed of exploring space," she said softly. "I never imagined it would happen like this, but I think we're on the brink of something amazing. Jake nodded, feeling a swell of emotion in his chest. It's not just about the technology or the science, is it? It's about expanding our horizons, learning from other cultures, becoming part of something bigger than ourselves. Exactly. Mia agreed, her eyes shining with excitement, and we get to be part of making that happen. Their moment of reflection was interrupted by the arrival of Zara, who joined them in stargazing. "Your world is beautiful," she said, her gaze sweeping across the night sky. "So full of potential. The cosmic concord has much to offer Earth, but I believe we have just as much to learn from you." As they stood there, three friends from two different worlds, Jake felt a profound sense of hope for the future. The path ahead would not be easy. There would be challenges, misunderstandings, and obstacles to overcome. But together, they had already achieved the impossible. The next day brought a flurry of activity as final preparations were made for the official announcement of Earth's invitation to join the Cosmic Concord. World leaders gathered at the United Nations headquarters in New York, ready to address a global audience. Jake, Mia, and Zara found themselves on stage alongside diplomats and dignitaries from around the world. As cameras flashed and billions watched via livestream, the Secretary General stepped up to the podium. "Citizens of Earth," she began, her voice steady despite the momentous occasion, "today marks the dawn of a new era for humanity. We stand on the threshold of a grand adventure, ready to take our place among the stars." As the speech continued, outlining the opportunities and responsibilities that came with joining the Cosmic Concord, Jake felt a mix of pride and nervousness. He knew that their actions had helped make this moment possible, but the scale of what was happening still felt overwhelming. When it came time for questions from the press, a reporter directed one to Jake and Mia. As two ordinary college students thrust into an extraordinary situation, what message do you have for the young people of Earth about our future among the stars? Jake took a deep breath, exchanging a glance with Mia before stepping up to the microphone. "I would say this: dream big, and don't be afraid to reach for those dreams. A week ago, the idea of meeting aliens seemed impossible. Now, we're talking about joining a galactic community. The future is full of possibilities we can't even imagine yet. But if we approach it with curiosity, compassion, and cooperation, the same things that helped us in our encounter with Zara, I believe humanity can achieve incredible things." Mia nodded in agreement, adding, "And remember that every one of us has the potential to make a difference. We didn't set out to save the world or change the course of history. We just tried to help someone in need. Sometimes, that's all it takes to start something amazing." Their words were met with applause, and Jake saw approving nods from both human and Keplerian delegates. As the ceremony concluded and Earth officially accepted its invitation to the Cosmic Concord, Jake felt a surge of excitement for what the future held. In the days that followed, the world began to change rapidly. Keplerian technology was gradually introduced, revolutionizing fields from medicine to energy production. Plans were drawn up for Earth's first faster-than-light spaceship, a joint human-Keplerian project that would mark humanity's first steps into interstellar space. Jake, Mia, and Zara found themselves at the forefront of these developments. Their unique bond and shared experiences made them ideal candidates to lead cultural exchange programs and scientific collaborations between Earth and the Cosmic Concord. As they stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Harmony Station, Earth's first orbital diplomatic outpost, Jake reflected on how far they had come. The Earth shimmered below them, a blue marble suspended in the vastness of space, and beyond, the stars beckoned, each one a potential adventure waiting to unfold. "So," Mia said, a hint of mischief in her voice, "what's our next impossible mission?" Zara's luminescent patterns pulsed with amusement. "I believe your human expression is the sky's the limit. Although in this case, perhaps we should say, the universe is the limit." Jake grinned, feeling a familiar thrill of excitement. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew that with friends like these at his side, anything was possible. Humanity's cosmic odyssey was just beginning, and he couldn't wait to see where it would lead. As the first Keplerian embassy ship docked with Harmony Station, heralding a new chapter in Earth's history, Jake realized that their greatest adventure was still to come. The stars were calling, and they were ready to answer. Galactic Frontier. 5 years had passed since Earth's historic entry into the cosmic Concord, and the pace of change had been breathtaking. Jake, Mia, and Zara found themselves at the helm of humanity's most ambitious project yet, the maiden voyage of the CSS Horizon, Earth's first faster-than-light starship. As they stood on the bridge of the sleek vessel, a fusion of human ingenuity and Keplerian technology, Jake felt a familiar mix of excitement and trepidation. The ship hummed with barely contained energy, eager to leap into the unknown. Final systems check complete, Mia announced from her station, her fingers dancing over holographic controls. All systems nominal. Zara, serving as their liaison to the cosmic Concord, nodded approvingly. The Concord High Council sends their best wishes for our journey. We are cleared for departure. Jake took a deep breath, settling into the captain's chair. It still felt surreal, him, a former college student, now commanding Earth's first interstellar expedition. But he had earned this role through years of intensive training and diplomatic missions across the Concord's worlds. "All right, crew," he said, his voice steady despite the butterflies in his stomach. "Let's make history. Engage FTL drive." The view outside the ship's panoramic windows stretched and blurred as the horizon leaped into hyperspace. Their mission, to explore the uncharted regions of the Orion Arm, seeking out new civilizations and mapping unknown worlds. As they emerged from their first jump, a stunning vista greeted them. A binary star system blazed before them, its planets a whirl of vibrant colors unlike anything in Earth's solar system. Incredible. Mia breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. Sensors are picking up signs of a potentially habitable moon orbiting that gas giant. Should we investigate? Jake nodded, a grin spreading across his face. Absolutely. Let's see what's out there. Over the next few months, the crew of the Horizon made discovery after stunning discovery. They charted new stellar phenomena, made first contact with several pre-spaceflight civilizations, carefully following cosmic Concord protocols, and even helped mediate a budding conflict between two young interstellar species. But their greatest challenge lay ahead. As they pushed further into uncharted space, they picked up a distress signal unlike anything they'd encountered before. "It's not matching any known Concord frequencies," Zara said, her brow furrowed in concentration. "The language is, I've never seen anything like it." Jake leaned forward, studying the signal pattern. "Can we triangulate its source?" Mia nodded, printing up a star chart. "It's coming from a system about 10 light-years from here. No data on it in Concord records." "Well, we can't ignore a call for help," Jake decided. "Plot a course. Let's see what we're dealing with." As they dropped out of hyperspace near the source of the signal, the crew of the Horizon gasped collectively. Before them floated an enormous structure, a massive ring-shaped megastructure that dwarfed their ship. "It's a Dyson ring," Mia said in awe, her sensors struggling to comprehend the scale of the object. "But the technology, it's beyond even Concord level." Zara's expression was one of reverent shock. This may be the work of the precursors, an ancient race said to have seeded much of the galaxy with life eons ago. But they were thought to be long extinct. Before they could discuss further, a massive energy surge emanated from the ring. A shimmering portal opened in space before them, and a booming voice echoed through their minds. "In Heritoas of Awar Le JCE," it said, the words somehow conveying both ancient wisdom and urgent need. "The time of awakening is at hand. The great threat Roituans. Will you anesthetize the seal?" Jake exchanged glances with Mia and Zara, seeing his own mix of excitement and apprehension mirrored in their faces. Whatever this was, it was far beyond their original mission parameters. But isn't this why they had come out here, to push the boundaries of the known? "We'll answer," Jake said firmly, speaking for his crew, and in a way for all of humanity. Tell us what you need. The voice seemed to resonate with approval. Enter, brave ones. Your trial begins. As the horizon moved towards the shimmering portal, Jake felt the weight of the moment. They were about to step beyond the frontier of known space, possibly into the realm of legends. Whatever lay on the other side would change not just their lives, but the course of galactic history. All hands, prepare for transdimensional shift, he ordered, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. Let's show the universe what humanity can do. With a flash of otherworldly light, the CSS Horizon vanished into the portal. The greatest adventure of their lives, and perhaps the ultimate test for all sentient life in the galaxy, was about to begin. As they emerged on the other side of the portal, the crew of the Horizon found themselves in a realm that defied comprehension. Swirling nebulae of impossible colors stretched as far as the eye could see, punctuated by structures that seemed to bend the very fabric of space-time. "Where are we?" Mia whispered, her sensors struggling to make sense of the readings. Zara's luminescent patterns pulsed rapidly, a sign of her agitation. "This is beyond anything in Concord records. We may be in a pocket dimension, or perhaps—" "Welcome, children of the younger races," a new voice interrupted, somehow both everywhere and nowhere at once. A being materialized before them on the bridge, humanoid in shape, but composed of swirling energy and stellar matter. "I am the curator, keeper of the precursor legacy." Jake stepped forward, his diplomatic training kicking in despite the surreal situation. "I'm Captain Jake Chen of the Earth ship Horizon. We received your distress call. How can we help?" The curator's form shimmered, conveying a sense of urgency. The threat that once drove the precursors to extinction stirs once more. The Devourers, a race of entropy incarnate, seek to unmake all of creation. Eons ago, we created sanctuary dimensions like this one and seeded the galaxy with life, hoping that one day our children would rise to face this threat. Images flashed through the minds of the Horizon's crew, terrifying visions of entire galaxies being consumed by a tide of cosmic darkness. Jake felt a chill run down his spine, but also a surge of determination. "Why us?" he asked. "Surely there are more advanced civilizations in the Concord that could help." The curator's form pulsed with what might have been pride. "You underestimate yourselves. Humanity's greatest strength is not your technology, but your adaptability, your creativity in the face of adversity. The Keplerians saw this in you, as do we. You represent the best hope for all life in the galaxy." Over the next few hours, the curator explained their desperate plan. The Horizon would need to undertake a perilous journey across multiple dimensions, gathering ancient precursor artifacts of immense power. These artifacts, when combined, could create a weapon capable of sealing the Devourers away for another age. As Jake looked at his crew, humans and aliens alike, all watching him with a mix of fear and resolve, he knew that the fate of everything rested on their shoulders. It was a burden almost too heavy to contemplate, but they had no choice but to try. "All right," Jake said, squaring his shoulders. "Where do we start?" The curator gestured, and a shimmering map of the multiverse appeared before them. "Your first trial awaits in the nexus of shattered stars. Be warned, the laws of physics as you know them may not apply. Trust in each other, and in the potential that lies within you." As the Horizon prepared to embark on this impossible quest, Jake felt a strange calm settle over him. They were about to face challenges beyond imagination, pushing the limits of their courage, intelligence, and very sanity. But looking at Mia and Zara by his side, he knew that together they could accomplish the impossible. "Crew of the Horizon," Jake addressed his team, his voice ringing with conviction. "I won't lie. What we're about to attempt is dangerous beyond measure. But the stakes couldn't be higher. We're not just fighting for Earth now, or even the Concord. We're fighting for all life everywhere. Remember your training, trust in each other, and no matter what happens, never stop believing that we can make a difference." With a chorus of affirmatives, the crew took their stations. The ship hummed to life, systems reconfiguring to navigate the strange energies of this new realm. Course laid in for the nexus of shattered stars, Maya reported, her voice tight with nervous excitement. Jake took one last look at the curator, who nodded sullenly. May the wisdom of the precursors guide you, brave ones. The hope of the cosmos goes with you. With a deep breath, Jake gave the order that would change everything. Engage multidimensional drive. In a flash of impossible light, the CSS Horizon vanished from normal space-time, plunging into a reality where the very laws of the universe were mutable. Their quest to save all of creation from the encroaching darkness had begun. As they traversed the mind-bending landscape of the multiverse, Jake knew that every decision, every moment of ingenuity and courage, would shape the fate of countless worlds. The greatest adventure in human history, perhaps in the history of all sentient life, was underway. And somewhere in the vast, unknowable expanses of reality, the devourers stirred, sensing the approach of those who would challenge their hunger. The stage was set for a conflict that would determine the very nature of existence itself, echoes of eternity. The CSS Horizon hurtled through the kaleidoscopic void of the multiverse, its crew struggling to maintain their sanity in a realm where the very concept of reality seemed fluid. Jake gripped the arms of his captain's chair, his knuckles white as the ship shuddered under the strain of dimensional travel. Approaching the nexus of shattered stars, Mia called out, her voice tight with concentration. Prepare for re-entry. With a thunderous crack, the horizon burst into a new dimension. The view that greeted them defied description, a vast field of stellar fragments, each containing a sliver of a dying universe. Countless realities collided and merged here, creating a tapestry of cosmic wreckage that stretched beyond comprehension. By the Concorde, Zara breathed, her luminescent patterns flickering with awe and fear. The precursor's power, it's beyond anything we could have imagined. Jake forced himself to focus, pushing aside the vertigo induced by the impossible vista before them. All right, team, let's remember why we're here. Mia, can you locate the artifact? Mia's fingers danced over her console, coaxing sense from the chaotic readings. I'm detecting an energy signature unlike anything we've seen before. It's coming from the core of that supermassive black hole remnant. At the center of the stellar graveyard loomed a monstrous singularity, its event horizon a swirling maelstrom of fractured space-time. Tendrils of gravitational force reached out, threatening to tear the horizon apart. We can't get close enough in the ship, Jake realized, his mind racing. We'll need to use the dimensional pods. The crew sprang into action, donning specially designed suits that would protect them from the rigors of extradimensional travel. As they prepared to launch, Jake addressed his team one last time. Remember, the laws of physics are more like guidelines here. Trust your instincts and don't let your preconceptions limit you. We're about to go where no human, maybe no being in the history of the cosmos, has gone before. With a collective deep breath, they launched their pods into the swirling chaos. The journey that followed was beyond description, a psychedelic roller coaster ride through the very fabric of reality. Time and space twisted around them, memories and possible futures flashing before their eyes. As they neared the core of the black hole remnant, a voice echoed in their minds, ancient, powerful, and tinged with sadness. Who is this DRB slumbia of eons? Jake steeled himself, projecting his thoughts as the curator had taught them. We come seeking the chrono shard to save all of creation from the devourers. A pause that seemed to stretch for millennia. Then, the time of recount last. Prove yourself is worthy, or be unmade. Suddenly, the team found themselves standing on a vast plain of crystalline glass, reflections of infinite realities shimmering beneath their feet. Before them stood a colossal figure, a being of pure chronological energy, its form constantly shifting through past, present, and future states. I am TEMPUS, guardian of DACHYNO shard, the being intoned. To see might, you must pass the trial of ETERITIES. The air shimmered, and 3 portals materialized, each leads to a pivotal moment in your species' history. You must efface the sequences of CHNG and understand the weight of time itself. Jake exchanged glances with Mia and Zara, seeing his own determination mirrored in their eyes. "We're ready," he declared. What followed was a harrowing journey through the turning points of human history. They witnessed the dawn of civilization, the heights of achievement, and the depths of conflict. At each juncture, they were faced with impossible choices, small changes that could reshape the entire course of humanity's development. But as they grappled with the consequences of their actions, a pattern emerged. It wasn't the big, flashy moments that truly mattered. It was the small acts of kindness, the quiet courage of individuals standing up for what was right, that truly shaped the destiny of their species. As they returned to the crystalline plane, exhausted but enlightened, Tempest regarded them with newfound respect. "You are here, the true Elysion of time," the cosmic being declared. "It is not ably ohut grand gestios or proidestine defeaties, but the coelective power of colantilias as small choices. You are worthy." With a gesture, Tempest manifested the chrono shard, a dazzling crystal that seemed to contain the entire time stream within its facets. As Jake reached out to claim it, he felt the weight of all possible futures resting in his hands. But their victory was short-lived. As the team prepared to return to the horizon, a chilling roar echoed across the dimensional plane. The glass beneath their feet began to crack, revealing a writhing darkness that threatened to consume everything. The DEVOURS approach. Tempest boomed, its form already beginning to fade. "You must flee now. The fate of L creation rests in your hands." With a desperate leap, the team dove back into their dimensional pods. The chrono shard clutched tightly to Jake's chest. As they hurtled back towards the horizon, they caught terrifying glimpses of their pursuers, cosmic abominations that defied sanity, their very presence unraveling the fabric of reality. "Get us out of here," Jake shouted as they crash-landed in the horizon's hangar bay. Mia was already at the helm, her fingers a blur as she initiated an emergency dimensional jump. The ship shuddered as it tore its way back into the multiverse slipstream, the roars of the devourers fading behind them. But the danger was far from over. As the adrenaline of their escape faded, the true weight of their situation settled in. They had claimed the first of the precursor artifacts, but at a terrible cost. The devourers were now fully awakened, and their hunger would not be sated until all of existence was consumed. Jake looked at the chrono shard, its otherworldly glow illuminating the faces of his crew. They were battered, exhausted, and forever changed by what they had experienced. But in their eyes, he saw an unshakable resolve. "We've got a long way to go," he said softly, "and the stakes just got higher than ever. But I believe in this team. Together, we're going to save the cosmos." As the horizon hurtled towards its next impossible destination, Jake knew that the true test was just beginning. The devourers were coming, and the fate of all reality hung in the balance. But with each small choice, each act of courage and compassion, they would forge a future worth fighting for. The battle for eternity had begun, and humanity was ready to prove its worth among the stars.